money invested here to where they need to lay out the fucking rules. You know, what are we doing here? Hey, you know, we're here to stay. Tell us how to operate. And if you don't, then we're just going to continue making assumptions and putting forth our best effort. But there's huge money backing us now, and we all know that huge money backing us, I mean, is Wall Street level money now. Like these guys have a lot of power and lobbying, and the whole thing's just fucking ridiculous. Though, you know, it's to see the United States, you know, continuously fumble this innovation ball is infuriating. You know, as somebody that lives here, just it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Here we go, Dan with his $60,000 shades on.
Oh, he's here.
I think they're worth 600 now, bro.
Really?
They should be.
Where are you?
Rob, did you hear that? Somebody sold their Solana Summer Vipers for $60K.
Shut up! Not real.
Shut the front door.
No, I think they did.
Come on.
Somebody said it. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was on Twitter, so it must be.
Was it one of those? It comes with the NFT, and then you have to decide which one you want to destroy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Those do look good, though. Can't lie.
Yeah.
Where am I?
I'm putting you in there. We're just doing a little pre-show here, guys. So if you're watching, okay, volume echoing. Yeah, we're just getting set up here. Figured we'll do it live.
Can these guys see us?
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Yeah, there is an echo though. Hold on a sec, guys. Pause the volume for a sec. Everyone, shush.
We can have like 1,000 people in this after we've been talking about Solana for fucking 4 months.
Figure out who's.
Let me see if I'm echoing. Testing.
Most importantly, can you hear my keyboard?
starring Gunny, Rob, Messiah, RT, and Dan's keyboard today. Oh, I see it. Sorry, guys. There it is. Fixed.
Jesus Christ. Yes, we can.
Yeah, I was running system audio because for my streams, I can do that. I can play music. But all right, so we're all set here, guys. Nope, that's a fat lie. Need one more shot here, then we're going to get live.
Ooh,
Restless Native from chat says that Rob sounds like Optimus Prime.
We should probably not fix that. That sounds cool.
It is pretty cool.
Dan's thumping keyboard has an echo.
Okay.
It's got those cherry brown switches.
Sweet cherry brown. Why do they name them after things that taste good?
Brown cherries?
I don't know. That doesn't sound good now that you mention it. It makes me think of chocolate and like cherry, like cheesecake. I don't know, dessert. I got the munchies. Don't mind me.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to lower. Okay, one last shot here. Absolute pandemonium in the market. Can't wait to get after it with you guys. Literally just wrote the newsletter like up until 7 minutes ago. So a lot of charts ready to go. Where's Dan? There he is.
The Danimal.
I think I'm in there, right?
Oh yeah, you're in that shot. I'm looking at the next one here.
Question: If Dan's thumping on his keyboard, can he manually mute his thing? So
No, yeah, I can.
But does it,
I actually can mute it on my microphone too.
but would that fuck things up?
The one time I muted you, you never came back. You couldn't hear me the rest of the day. It was really weird. Remember that?
Yeah, that's my concern.
Yeah. So
I never made it back after that.
Yeah, never recovered. So if we flicker, let's try it out. We're gonna test it. Yeah, if we flicker your view, you just flicker your mute off and on when you want to get into the grease in the chat. Okay, guys, stay tuned. It's DeltaFi time, baby. Yeah. Solana has been the single best basket of the year. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to DeltaFi Wednesday afternoon on September 8th. the day after the bloodiest day since May. If you guys are around, if you survived, if you haven't left the market yet, you're winning. $2.1 billion was wiped out yesterday in a single hourly candle. First major wipeout we've seen since the bull has resumed, and it will not be the last if we are to continue from here and hit a new top. That's just par for the course. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to unpack that as traders and investors today. Speculators, as usual, and all the banter with the boys from left to right. CryptoMessiah, Gunny with the glasses. We'll call him Glasses Gunny today. Rob Levy, president of Hxro, and myself, RT Random Task 555 on Twitter. How you doing today, guys?
Doing good.
Surviving.
Excited.
Hanging in there. Yeah, excited for what's to come. You know, it's good to see, you know, a bit of a correction in the markets. You know, it's like one of those things where, you know, like you know that it could happen. You don't know when it can happen, and now it's happened. And it's, you know, appropriate in magnitude. Funding's reset. Sentiment is reset. So, you know, it's, if anything, you know, this is a great opportunity to rebalance, to, you know, get your shit right, to make sure you're in the right place. You know, if you wanted a bigger bag of something else, and, you know, you have an underperformer or something like that, you know, you can always, you know, rotate it and get everything right. How do I sound, chat? I've done some microphone tuning. It's
You sound crispy today.
Coming. I've got the cardioid mode on. You know, I read all about it.
Somebody mentioned still echoing, so either Alex Flurlage is messing with me. Okay, good to go. Okay, I was gonna say, come on, bro. I can see it's not echoing. All right. Yeah, so Messiah's upgraded his mic status. You know, guys, there's so much that goes into good production. If you ever just think like, oh, those YouTubers, like, I'm talking about like the ninjas and that, oh, 500K a month, that's so lucky. It's hard work, man. I mean, those guys are few and far between, but there's ask Korean Jew. he took Messiah onto his stream. The first 45 minutes they were doing sound issues. Like, it's a grind. But Robbie, I know you're a shooter. I know you were all over this move yesterday. Maybe not in advance. How did you play it? How did it go for you? I mean, that was a gut wrenching event for a lot of people. Like, how did it hit you?
There's always that feeling when, like, you're watching the auto liquidations, and I get a stream on my Twitter notifications start going crazy, and you know when it shows like one notification, then it goes to like 8 and 12 and then 36, 48, and you're like, oh shit, like
everything.
when it like gets up that high, you're like, what's getting licked, and how deep and how nasty, and that was a nasty one. It was.
Yeah, keep
really
talking
nasty.
like that, Rob. I like that.
It was nasty, but
I didn't even see it, to be honest.
Yeah,
It lasted 2 minutes.
it was quick. I mean, the wick, like I'm looking at the Binance chart here and Bitcoin Tether. So that thing wicked down to, I'm looking at the hourly, to like below 43,000, 42, what is it? 42,843. And, you know, but the candle closes for the next several hours, like nothing got below 46,000. So it was a nasty, that last little $4,000 was quick.
Yeah, Gunny, I actually figured out how to toggle you. So if I hear that keyboard, I can probably just give you a quick flick here. It was, I got to say, I was a little lazy yesterday. It was one of those, you know, didn't have the personal trainer coming in the morning. So I wasn't like the 5 a.m. up, and I kind of laid in bed and I saw some things. I was like, oh, shit's rolling over a bit. And I actually, early in that, I was like, oh, I'll drop half my sushi position. It's in profit. Like, probably take a little off there. And then I went back to sleep for like an hour, and I woke up at 10 just before the intensity, and I ran downstairs because I saw like something's cooking. And just in getting my shit set and looking around, and then it was like, whoa! And I looked back, and it was like, holy shit, Bitcoin just hit 42K. And like that, it was over, and it was 15% up off the lows across the board, and we never went back. So,
I mean, interestingly enough, though, you know, 42K is the yearly volume weighted average price on most spot exchanges. You know, it was a direct tag of that level. Look, corrections suck, but, you know, as far as I'm concerned, we're bullish above that level, and we still are above that level. And you know what? A lot of times these dumps happen in two legs. You know, I would imagine that we'll be revisiting that level again in the next few days. But once again, you know, I'm not too concerned. Ethereum, Bitcoin looking very strong. Strong performances on, you know, alternate layer ones. For the most part, across the board, everything looks fine for now. But you know, my main thing is, hey, you know, if it is time to panic, if we do lose those levels, you know, you need to panic early rather than later. You know, you can always buy back in if you're wrong. But the main thing here is, you know, being cognizant that the fundamentals still look great. You know, Bitcoin typically, crypto typically, you know, ends up topping out sometime towards the end of the year. We've had a fantastic recovery. You know, now I think most of the fear now stems from people worrying that what we just witnessed was a complacency leg. And, you know, it very well may be. But I don't think that we have enough.
What does that mean? What's a complacency leg?
In the sense that, you know, the bubble popped at 65K in May. We had this wonderful complacency rally. Everybody, you know, was able to make a lot of money during that complacency rally. And, you know, and now we will be entering some kind of bear market.
Proper
you know,
bear.
Yeah, proper bear. I don't believe that to be the case, but, you know, there's definitely still a bit of anxiety in the market, you know, surrounding that. And I think, you know, to alleviate that anxiety, you know, we're going to have to, you know, show some strong buying here in a bit. And then I do think that this will be more similar to that Bitcoin dip we saw, when was that? October of 2020, something along those lines, to where, you know, it does mark down, it spends some time marked down, consolidates, and then the real party begins. But, you know, it's really just kind of like a watch and wait. I really haven't dropped any exposure. I've just kind of rotated around and rebalanced into some areas I want to be in. And I feel pretty good, you know, but it's, once again, like, fuck, you know, if we lose, you know, 52, you know, RT's pump chaser zone on this chart, 42, you know, it's going to be difficult to be the guy with strong hands, you know, when there is so much on the table to lose. You know, everybody's made a lot of money here, which is something, you know, we need to continue to be cognizant of. But that doesn't mean that the party's over. You know, some of the NFT activity is getting a bit concerning, but, you know, even then.
NFT stuff is clear mania. It doesn't mean it has to end soon, but it, you know, and we're already seeing some of that, apparently. I don't watch that stuff too closely, but you can tell on Twitter. You can, you know, it's like, oh, NFTs must be dumping. There's a lot of coping going on here. But look, you can see from the chart here, you know, you get these short reload zones. And Dan, Rob, I mean, all of us, we've talked about this since really last May, which was that if we're going to go into a bear, we need to come up and have that argument, you know, back up here, back at these levels. And so we get to these levels, we consolidate below the big weekly resistance, we blast into it. And what's really messed up, and this is incredible to see again and again, is that this was probably the breakout that a lot of people were waiting for, right? Rob's, you know, he's nodding his head. He's like, yeah, like that was, you know, that was a key level that's like, oh man, Bitcoin really is going to run. And then get nice and long and frothy and leveraged up, and whoever did that, and then it just nukes.
Well, that's
selling.
That's that little extra fuel there, and also
who the fuck is selling?
I don't know.
They dumped on El Salvador. El Salvador literally bought the exact.
You know who's selling? A bunch of fucking over leveraged punters got liquidated, and then when you have things like, you know, like on FTX, for example, when you can leverage yourself with a haircut altcoin, you create these little cascades. I see no evidence of like a pivot in going south. This looks like a very early setup of like something that could be toppy, but like I added.
Oh yeah, I did too. Just to be clear, and if you guys haven't yet, like the video, hit us with a like, hit us with a sub on the channel, and go to HeroLabs.io.
To be clear, I added Solana and I added FTT.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually, I added FTT, but go to HeroLabs.io and check out the weekly tab. I just finished the newsletter. It's going to be out in probably less than a couple hours. And you'll get my full thesis there and some charts. And to your point, Dan, I'm bringing that up for context, as in this is where you would expect bears to finally step in through this. But my takeaway, which again you can catch in the newsletter, is that this is part and parcel for, the bull, and whether that means we have to come down a little bit more through September and then go, it's tough to call. But Bitcoin looks the worst out of everything. Let's also be clear on that. Bitcoin is the only pair, Bitcoin USD, that lost a key level and never really got it back. Now the daily close yesterday fairly, okay, it's back above these lows. It closed back up there, dipped again today. We could close bullish today, and then it's not bad. Every other chart looks markedly better, and you can see it on Ethereum right here. It's still trading above key support. In fact, this is what you want to see if you want to get long on ETH and you missed it here. I mean, this throwback is what you want. You're like, damn, I guess I'll get long, if that comes in. So
I'm looking at it honestly I sound like such a Solana maxi the last few months or something. But
it's an enviable thing to be.
Look, a few months ago, I was with somebody who runs a fairly massive book, and they were relatively new to crypto, and they were trying to source a fairly significant 8-figure amount of Solana and could not find it from anywhere. Anywhere. And this is the type of money that we're talking about coming into the system that isn't here yet. And this was 7 months ago now. And I think there's I'm going to play this more long-term technical card, but what is Ethereum being used for? What's Bitcoin being used for? And I'm not saying there won't be rotations in and out of it, and they won't get strong, and that Solana won't retrace 40%, 50%. But is this? I question is this the time of is this the era of productive assets and more logical type of capital getting into the system that one of these capital sources could theoretically be the size of the entire crypto market? Are they getting in and going after logical things that are not blockchains that have been completely turned into garbage by
excess,
thousands of excessive projects that are pump and dumps? Is it actually the time for productive assets to show their face? And Solana has that. They've Messiah, said it to me yesterday. He's we were talking about it for a minute. He just said, look, they definitely carved a niche, and it's what we've been talking about the whole time. Is that the center? Is that the underbelly for the new fabric of of financial markets?
Finance, yeah. It's like Serum back in the spring. You mentioned, they're not trying to compete with Uniswap. They're trying to compete with the New York Stock Exchange, and that's actually an aha moment for me. I was like, holy shit! That's where jump trading and some of these larger funds are coming in, and they're smashing the bid on this. They're picking their horses, and they're gonna see it through. And whether that catches up to Ethereum, whether Ethereum is well ahead by then, and it's just this multi-trillion-dollar, top 3 L1s are all over $1 trillion. Solana is the leader this year, and you can see where people are placing their bets.
Let's not get it twisted though, and this is why I was fucking kicking myself yesterday, because days like yesterday, you need to have bids in these order books.
Working bids, yeah.
Working bids to capture the shit that goes on yesterday, right? If you had a $125 bid in the book for Solana, you get filled, and you could get filled with some size. We're all waiting, thinking oh, there will be a dip I can buy. Yes, but those dips that you can buy, which almost always come, right? It's you almost always get it, but they tend to be a flash in the pan. And then you saw the buyback that came after the wick for Solana. It was crazy. It was
it was insane.
It was up 3% on the day when everything was down 50, 20. You're like, what the heck happened? but that wick there, right? Like, what's the low on that chart?
It bounced 53% in under 20 minutes. I was watching that, and I know somebody in our Discord like shorted here. He's like, I'm short Solana. I was like, please tell me not on the dip. He's like, no. But like, yeah, 53%.
So I take it back. On Binance, if you had a $130 bid in, you got filled for all you wanted. The thing traded down to 128 on Binance. Like,
yeah,
think about it. Like, all of these things, you don't have to chase. Like, this chart looks insane right now. It doesn't mean that it's not going to, continue and blow off at a high of 250 or something. But everything has, like, there's times when this illiquidity, you get pullbacks to buy. It's just, holy cow, they can be really, really quick.
Yeah, I am remiss today, as I reviewed last week's newsletter and went to write today's, and I was like, okay, I like to bridge some context, and I had a couple guys message me. They're like, oh my god, man, that pump trade zone, that like, you nailed it. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, should have set some bids. Like, it's tough to catch, and I've been moving around a lot on what's it called? What's that one? AVAX. Been playing around a lot on AVAX. I've got my Solana holdings, but what an opportunity there on the strongest play in the market. And sadly, even myself and even people who are like, yeah, okay, I'm going to trade the pump trade zone. The market has a way of drawing you offside, right? Taking a little profit, buying back a little higher, saying, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore because I could just keep losing. And then the dip comes and it's over in 10 minutes or less, in this case, 1 minute. And if you don't have that bid working, it's not filled. And if you did have that bid working, just say you just bid the 382 across the board yesterday, you got filled on everything and you are well in profit and can now set that stop loss even to break even. You're on a risk-free trade in under 10 minutes for potentially a multi-month continuation. I mean, if you missed it yesterday, don't sweat it. This shit is going to happen again. It has happened hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you can do is just chastise yourself and be like, oh, and then, but like not learn from it. And sometimes I catch them. I've done it before. Last summer I had one really nice weekend where I cut everything, and the next week we had that nuke, but didn't get this one, which is fine. I didn't get liquidated either, and that's the key, right? You just stay in the game.
I mean, we should pull up that chart of like overall open interest, right? Open interest in the derivatives, and like when it gets to certain levels, you kind of know that there is real cannon fodder for explosive action, and it tends to happen. It like needs to release the pressure.
Yeah. And
we were getting to those levels, and it's funny because then you see a tweet thread from Sam Trabucco and of why this happened. It's always kind of the same thing. It was really juiced, and we got to one of those points where funding got high on a lot of the futures, and you knew there was a lot of leverage in the system, and you never know exactly when it's going to happen, but when it does, those drops get to be nasty.
Yeah, let's pull this up. I saw this guy, what do we call him? Checkmate. So I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter, but check him out. He does some really nice, he's the lead on-chain analyst for Glassnode. So a really solid follow that I picked up through this week. And I'll pull up this chart. I'd love to see an updated of it. But you can see here, really since April, that was the highest futures open interest we had. We saw how that got unwound over the period of a month, and then basically we've just been building up to it. We hit 13.4 billion, and I think this chart was actually prior to the flush out, where he was basically indicating like, yeah, this shit's cooked and we should probably be, cooler jets. And I was hoping to see sort of an updated of this one because it's a pretty colors. I like it. But for now, it doesn't look like he's put out an update to that specifically. However, post dump yesterday, he did give us some 20 hours. Yeah. So it's just after that. So, get some of that on-chain analytics. I'd love to personally like get into Glassnode myself. I always just use guys on Twitter for it because they're better at it. So
Yeah.
But
It
something
feels-
I'd like to look at.
For a trader, I mean, these markets are moving, right? I mean, even since the top of the hour here, as soon as the top of the hour hit and the CME settled at 3 p.m. Central, and I think it was a new 4-hour candle, but like Bitcoin sold off a quick $600, 1.5%, and alts followed it literally like on the hour, right? It still feels it feels thin to me right now, and thin is a gift and a curse. It means you can catch some quick 2, 3, 4, 5% moves, but if that move is against you, it's not as friendly. So it definitely, the aftermath of yesterday's liquidation, it feels thin in a lot of places. Even looking at FTT, like right before the stream started, the thing was pushing almost $75, and literally 2 minutes after the stream started, it was 71.5. It was down 5% in 2 minutes. So it's thin out there. These are great.
Yeah.
They're great to trade. If you're looking for price action, it's great. If you're kind of long-term guy and it can feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I admittedly haven't done a lot of trading today. Been caught up working on some stuff, but there was a setup, like probably my favorite setup, that came in across the board last night, and that was the retest of lows. Daniel says it likes to go for a second one. If we're in a strong bullish trend, which we have been, and we had this really strong breakout on ETH, this kind of bullish retest, I don't think it should necessarily go and make a next low. It can, and we can be bullish midterm and get back in October, but if we want to just see this trend up from here, this wick, we can't lose this wick, in my humble opinion. Like, it would suck, but I would cut most of my trade positions if we go back anywhere near this, because this wick came from liquidations, right? This wick, nobody wanted to sell here, and that's what I thought was interesting with Sam Trabuco's thread last night. He said, yeah, we bought the shit out of that because that's not even a level that was rational to sell. No one wanted to sell. They were forced to sell, and when someone's forced to sell you something at a cheap price, you buy it. And
you know what a wick looks like. You kind of, if you're not sitting in front of the screens, it's kind of hard to catch, but it's like in a order book, it looks like a temporary moment of like insanity. Things are moving at a velocity that is not normal to what you see. And like, those are the times, it's the hardest times, but those are the times that you need to deploy cash. And like, you will be on site at some point, mostly from the volatility and from the retrace, but
just the bounce. Yeah.
But the normie, the layman, can't really grab that low there.
No, it's tricky.
Yeah, those are the the Trabucos, the high frequency guys. Like, we can't fucking click trade that wick.
You can click trade that. You just can't be precise on it.
Yeah,
it was over in 7 minutes. If I'm trading those,
I'm literally like going into the order book and just doing the equivalent of like a limit buy order, just to make sure I get it off.
Right, or market. I mean,
market. The scary thing with market is like the bounces can be so strong, and I actually did that on AVAX perps yesterday. It was like TradingView was actually 1, 2.
You get sucked up in the vortex. So.
Exactly. It was 2 minutes behind, so I was looking at TradingView, but I'm trading on Binance, the TradingView perps or whatever, and they were 2 minutes off. Man, it was system overload across the board. There was 2 minute candles behind, and I market bought at 31, what I thought, and I ended up with like a 34 fill. It aged well, but not nearly as well. But look, this thing ended in 7 minutes, like the really gross part.
Yeah.
Right? And you can actually just see on the book where the cascade started. It was like, okay, we got some selling. Holy shit, the cascade. And this is where anyone, like you say, high frequency guys, sharp money, the people that are just at the battle station, they soak it up. It's an absolute discount. And even if we go lower next week, this will be in profit within 10 minutes if you can stomach even a little bit more. And that's the tricky part for me, I think, is like, at which point during this do you decide it's now safe to buy, it's over? Because as we saw on May 19th, it just kept going. like a ridiculous amount, right? I mean, we dropped like 40 to 29 in like 2 minutes. So,
I mean, the hardest thing is doing
easy.
that on leverage.
Yes.
That's where you got to be precise, because you can just get. Also, like a lot of margining systems, like in the olden days, they call it a fast market. Like there would be an F by the price effectively, and it basically meant that like all bets are off on stop orders and stop markets and like the brokers basically aren't held. And like it's the same type of feeling where it's just like this moment of chaos, and like it's tricky.
Well, even I mean, what was kind of disgusting too, like the exchanges had a lot of problems yesterday. RT, pull up the Bitcoin USD pair on Coinbase. I mean, last night when we were selling off after Brian Armstrong's tweet and people were getting all bearish and the SEC with their lend product, Coinbase, someone either fat fingered or did a market order, and the thing traded up to above like almost 47,500 when it absolutely should not have. This was like, it was under pressure, and somewhat like,
this here.
Yeah, disgusting. I mean, this is like our, one of our top exchanges here for spot Bitcoin USD, and I mean, the liquidity is not, it's not what we think it is a lot of the time. Look
at that. Yeah, that's an intense wick, my friend.
Dude, it's terrible.
So what do they know, and why would they time it like that?
Yeah, well, it's user error, and it's like you can't. I don't know. That was a weird one, but bottom line is these books are thinner than normal right now. So,
well, especially after something like yesterday, I think, like you said, it just feels thin, and you get a lot of this
short-term volatility is like out.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I think after an event like yesterday, whether it's consolidate here, continue higher, dump lower, shaky, really proper shakeout. Typically, after a big smackdown like this in a trend, you get into a period of consolidation. For that reason, right? There's just, are we a bull? Are we a bear? There's a debate cooking now. There's fear in the market. They're licking their wounds, and we saw that. For context, I mean, you can find this anywhere. If you look back at Bitcoin's price action from last year, right? Once you get this nice little trend, or right here even, nice little trend, smackdown, sideways. Get another strong trend, smack it down, sideways for another few weeks, right? Run it up high, smack it down. We didn't make new highs for almost 3 weeks. Got to go sideways.
I just got a general question. For most people, if you're in the chat, like, I'd be interested to see what your time frame is that you generally trade in. Are you like a daily swing trader? Are you trading intraday? Are you just looking to build positions? Like, what is kind of everybody's like go-to that's here? Yeah,
polling the chat. I'll tell you, the apes in the pit, they must trade the 5 minute, because how many times I've just looked in there and they're just like freaking out, and I look on the daily and nothing's moved. Mm-hmm. Personally, I like to I trade the daily. I trade the 4 and 1 hour, but like I like to trade the daily, but I like to use setups that come in on the 4 and 1 hour. But I'm not opposed to a 15-minute chart if something looks good. Seeing a lot of swing, 1 and 4 hour and daily. Yeah, pecan bière. That's my vibe.
Logan Paul needs some Adderall. Looks like
20-second chart for Logan Paul. Yeah. Hey, I mean, there's something to be said for getting in and out of a trade in under an hour and just making money.
No, I like what I'm seeing. There's a lot of like 4 hour and daily. Stuff.
If you're in the chat, did your main exchange have issues yesterday, or were you good? Were you trading through the carnage? What was your experience like? I look at there's a crypto OG, I am Nomad, and he kind of called out a couple of these exchanges who he actually had a response to DYDX, who's like, they tweeted out 100% uptime, no issues through this thing, and Nomad was like, what? I beg to differ. So there's people who who are used to CME type of exchange solidity who were not too thrilled with yesterday, but for the most part, I hear FTX was the performer.
They had one thing that was trivial, but I deposited some USDC because I was trying to buy the dip. Of course, I wasn't quite as positioned I wanted, and it was just like a wheel spinning for 30 seconds. It's the only time they've ever lagged for me, and it was, again, trivial. It wasn't trading engine related. So FTX was solid. Qcoin went down. If you looked at Qcoin, I know somebody in the chat just said Qcoin was solid, so it might have been regional, but if you looked up on Twitter, like Qcoin blocked out a lot of people yesterday, like in the 4 hours in and around that, which sucks. But at least they're back, because I actually have some bags sitting on there with some orders, asks working, and I was like, really? I just loaded them up last week. Don't tell me Qcoin's gone.
How are DEXs?
Ethereum was totally trashed. Yeah, Ethereum was trashed yesterday. Thankfully I don't really use it anymore. Every time I go back to Ethereum, I just feel like I'm getting robbed, because you can do basically everything you do there. I mean, for me, it's on AVAX. I know some people are talking about FTM, Solana, obviously.
FTM, but holy shit, that thing.
Phantom, I know. It's at an interesting level right now. Actually, it's one that I haven't moved over to yet. Maybe because I'm butthurt because I was looking at it at 2 cents earlier this year and just never got in, and then didn't buy this recent bear, and then now I'm just like, meh. But it's solid. It looks pretty solid. Although I do hear some reports that the UX is not quite as sexy as AVAX, which is one that I've been spending a lot of time on. But who's to say? I'd have to try it. But yeah, look at this chaos level. Oof, just mid.
When you look visually at that, like,
so sick.
You go back to the last peak prior to that.
Down here.
Did it have like a similar? I mean, even the one before that bear cycle, that.
Oh, back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at it relatively, right? Because now it looks tiny, but at the time, we can actually just use the replay.
Like at the time. I keep thinking about that.
Yeah. And if you want to really get the context here, then play it. It's really hard to see in the moment. Right. And a lot of the people that perhaps recently have been getting really bullish on it, they were nowhere to be found in July. When really, as uncomfortable as it is, you should be looking fundamentally at things that you're bullish on, starting to build positions, taking your time, don't have to nail it. You just got to be long over time. And that's what we did. I know some of you guys did. I definitely loaded up some Solana plays through July. And then now, of course, I'm getting a little cautious with these, and guys are like, you're an idiot. We're going to the moon. And they're buying chaos PRZs. They're buying fib extensions, and markets just have an interesting way of getting you long at the highest risk moments. Not saying this is tops, but if you look at the chart and if I asked you straight up, color on the chart where you think you should be buying. Okay, now color on the chart where you think you're probably best off paying yourself. It's clear as day, and I think we're well out of a buy zone on most of these for me. And so that's where the trend trading gets really tricky, right? Because they can go and they can go and they can go, and you're never going to hit 100x. Not that you need to, but you're never going to hit 100x if you take profit at all your 2 and 5 and 10s.
Like, is that the point where you need to start thinking about like the actual use case of the asset? Like one of the problems that I have with I missed out on all of the. I mean, obviously doing Hxro network and Hxro related stuff, but like really missed out on all the stuff that Messiah was really jumping on and you were jumping on with AVAX. But some of it for me is just the fact, and I think Rob maybe has a similar feeling. Is like it's probably the boomer in us of just like some of these things. It's like I can't tie a value to it, so I have a hard time, like if I'm not in front of it, like buying momentum on it. Solana I don't care as much about because in a few other of like those of similar assets, like I don't care as much about because I'm looking at it like, what is this going to look like in 5 years from now? And like when you do that, you really can kind of pinch the chart down and then say, well, it's gonna bob and weave, and it's gonna lose 60%, and it's gonna pick up market beta in a down market, and it's gonna like there's all these elements to it that like, dude, that's crazy, right? Like if you're just looking at that as is right now, it's crazy. Yeah. But over the course of time, like, yeah, is it gonna dip? Sure, it'll probably dip, but like,
well, that's where you start.
I mean, stick it on the log chart, right? When you take it off log, which I tend to trade on for better or worse because I think the fibs just look better and that's my jam. But yeah, this looks ridiculous, right? This is not the time to suddenly discover Solana.
But go back in 24 months from now, and like,
yeah,
it maybe looks like nothing. Right?
It'll be very much like an anthill.
What's that, Rob?
No, I think that's when you start to look at, like, I know it can be a joke at times in crypto, the fundamentals.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, is this a moment where we're talking about the tech? Because there's actually like real companies doing real shit with this stuff.
Well, and you start to look at what they're doing relative to other comps, right? It's like, how do you really value these relative to other stuff? And you come back to the other layer ones. You come back to the Ethereum comp, right? Someone in the chat thought you were kind of pumping your bag and shitting on Ethereum. It's not that at all.
Not at all.
Just that the world, like high frequency trading application, that can't function with the gas fees that are on Ethereum right now.
Correct.
Right? On a layer one standpoint. It's looking at comps, right? If you got a $400 billion network value for Ethereum, and you've got Solana at, a month ago when we were talking, it was 10 billion, 12 billion, 15 billion, and you've got all these other layer ones that are 20, 30, 50, 80 billion, Cardano, 80 billion.
It doesn't make sense to me, right? Like,
you feel like you've got a little bit of wind at your sails there, right? It's harder for me to buy a level on Cardano right now at 80 billion when there's stuff that I think has more kind of network value that's trading at a discount.
Right. And Robbie, it's like the analogy of having a trade on, and like there's some point in the curve that's out of whack, and it's out of whack because there's some seller that has some motive totally unreal, like it could be a commercial, right? And they're just in there selling this one part of the curve. And it's just a game of like, can I finance the trade long? Like, I know the trade's good. I can keep buying it. I can hang in there. Yeah. It's painful, but like, I know that it's mispriced, right? So then that's how it feels. Like, that's that fundamental aspect that me trading over 20 plus years is like, I know the difference of that versus like, and everything I'm seeing around me is pointing to like, this is actually not in the short, like, talk about the 4-hour time frame, different story. Can we go from 200 to $80? Sure. Like, and we were talking about today, I was saying, like, I kind of hope, like, I'm in that mode where it's like, I hope it happens.
Right.
Because I think, like, I want to talk about where this is going to be in 5 years. And, like, if it's on the trajectory it is with the people that are behind it, it will not be at this price. It'll be much higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of the bull thesis in my mind for the 2020s. Right? Is it whatever path we take, it won't be a straight line. There will be gross moments. There will be deep, dips. And they could stretch on for months. Just let's not forget how we felt in July. Even though we were objectively thinking long, it still felt gross. It felt uncertain. There was charts everywhere showing deeper dips, and you don't want to be offside on that. But I talked about this last Friday on the stream. Like, I think we are more likely into an up and to the right environment. And that could stretch on much like the equities did in the 80s for the boomers. Like, it could just be a generational bull cycle. And that's why I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Even though I struggle to hold through, Solana at $200. I'm just like, hey, I'm up whatever X. I like getting paid. I'd like to rotate that into something perhaps in a pump chaser zone. But then, I end up in 2 years hanging out at your guys' place talking about the good old days when I had a huge bag of Solana and it's it's trading at $1,200, and it's like, yeah, an investor, I would have won more. So it's not easy, guys, but I agree with you. I think up and to the right, there's more capital outside of crypto by a factor of about 10,000 than there is inside of crypto. I made that number up, but it's high. And it's optimal technology. It is just better. And you see that in things like the yields in DeFi, not the vegetable yields on farming tokens, but fixed rate products that are coming out that perhaps Messi can talk a little bit about. I know he's looked into a couple of them.
I think that's so much. I think that, and like, I mean, we obviously have a view that derivatives are the next, kind of wave, but we're, the V2 of lending is going to be the Gen Xers and the boomers and the baby boomers and everybody that are going to start coming into retirement and actually need yield. Like, I've had lots of discussions with everyone from my people my parents' age up to younger guys that are managing big wealth management firms, and you tell them that you can put money on FTX US and get 15% lending your USD. They're like, where's the scam? And you're talking about, I won't even tell them about going on Sunny Aggregator and getting 600%, because it's not even worth the discussion. But let's just talk about what 15% does for a retiree that right now can't get 4% on government bonds.
Yeah, Sunny, I don't have any, but man, it's making SBR crush this past couple weeks. And I picked up SBR down here at 22, and somebody got pissed at me on Twitter. They said, it'd be nice if you told us about it when you bought it. I was like, bro, I just bought the highs. Get out of here. He thought I picked it up down here at 3 cents. I wish. And shout out to whoever was in my replies on Twitter, because I asked about, I said, Solana bags, loading up. What are you guys' favorites? And it was the best shill ever because it was so subtle. He just went, Saber only, dot. Mm-hmm. And then he just moved on. I was just like, wait, why is he so sure about this one? And I don't know. It's like a Forex thing, right? It's stablecoin swaps, which sound boring, but they are going to be hugely important. And I don't know what's going on with Sunny. Why is it moving sideways like this? It looks like it paused trading. Maybe just a feed issue, but Sunny is blown up, and it's drawn a lot of interest to Saber, so me and Sunny are friends. Let's go look at MOVR, Moon River. This was in the newsletter last week, not for the reasons perhaps it should have been. Wow. But that thing's moving right now. That's awesome. Tom Walsh in the chat is euphoric. He has asked repeatedly to look at MOVR, so there you go, bud.
What is it?
It's Moon River. It's a KSM, Kusama, parachain.
All I think about is Chevy Chase getting a fist up his ass.
All right. It did the perfect thing, right? It came out, it traded really well, it hit and just loved this pump chaser zone, and now it's back into price discovery. We're going to see. This was a Kusama crowd loan from maybe last month. I don't know when it happened, but I wrote it up in the newsletter last week just as an example of these Kusama crowd loans. It's incredible. It's basically a pre-sale where you're buying Moon River tokens, but instead of paying Kusama, you're locking it up for 48 weeks. And at the end of the 48 weeks, you get your tokens back. Plus, you've got all these Moon Rivers, mover tokens, which in this case, you were liquid with almost 2x your investment within the first, at launch. So it's a pretty sick play. If anyone here hasn't looked into crowd loans, check out last week's newsletter. I did a little example there, gave you a few links. It's probably a play that'll lose its edge after the first 6 to 8 crowd loans, because then you're locked up 48 weeks behind, 8 weeks behind everyone else's 48. And when those start unlocking next year, you'll be maybe eating some shit, but probably some alpha in there if you want to go look. So,
what's up with ALGO?
Unfucking believable. I'll tell you what, I had the urge last night, and I'm glad I didn't act on it, but you see the Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, SEC stuff last night, and you're scanning my watch list. I'm saying I was up 30% on the day when everything else is about to get mauled. I'm like,
what's going on?
What is going on? Is this short here? Is this the one to
Robbie, is it because of current?
Maybe CRNC moving to ALGO.
When current? I was thinking about them earlier today, actually.
Look at that! Look at that volume! I
gotta
hand it. Remember, I gotta hand it to my New York hedge fund, normie, no coiners. Everyone was asking me about ALGO. They had some People in New York, like in TradFi, they were getting chilled algo.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Because it was Pierce Crosby from TradingView was on here earlier this year talking about algo was one of his main holdings. He's in New York, I think. But
look at dope effect in the chat. He is, because I said it a month ago. Like, all my Wall Street friends keep asking me about it. That's like a signal. It's like, what is going on there? Why are all these normies asking me about it? They're not even like crypto guys. They're looking at it, but like, what about algo? That's the other
And it
one.
wasn't like they were asking about XRP or like Safe.
ADA. Yeah.
Right? Like actually a real project.
You know what? This one stings a little bit. When I made the Chaos PRZ video, this was one of the examples I used. It was actually one of the first I tried, and it just fit so well. You know, smack came down, smack came down, smack. And I did load up here back in March, though. I mean, come on, you can't expect me to hold a position more. I got lettuce hands. Give me something hot. So I don't have algo, but we did look at it on stream a couple weeks ago. You can see here I was inking it up, and I did note this breakout in volume here. I mean, if you don't hit this one, guys, just start to recognize the signs. So this one stings a bit because I remember on stream, I will find the clip at it just for pain points. I remember, I think it was right here. So it was probably our late August stream. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's in a good spot. And I didn't expect it to do this, though. Holy shit. Holy caron.
That is something right there, right? That's someone, that's someone big that are big. Those are multiple big people who are like, get me in. But that said, take a look back to your red circle on that chart, dude. I mean, like, think about everyone was saying the same thing, feeling that good that day. And this is what crypto tends to do. It's like this liquidity that thing could easily retrace 80% of this and it would be like normal. Like that is, these markets are ruthless.
That's the thing. Like, be okay with it.
If we close the daily, we'll have a plan, right? Like,
also, if you need the money and it's moved up like that, get out of it.
Pay yourself.
Pay yourself. Don't wait till October 14th when you need the money to pay your taxes that are on extension. Like, and you find out you owe more money. Like, pay yourself right now. And if you miss it, there's going to be 6,000 other opportunities. If you don't need the money and you think Algo has got like a 5-year plan, don't touch it. Like,
but I will tell you, at the end of last year, a couple of my buddies who have Coinbase accounts and I gave them a few alts to buy, and Algo was one of them. And the one thing that caught his eye was the fact that Coinbase paid you like 6% yield on Algo, you know, in Algo, and he loved that. He's like, "What's this 6% thing? This is like, you know, more." It's 5% more than I make anywhere else. Like, what's going on there? I'm like, yeah, it's actually a kicker. And
Algo might go up.
It resonated with him. He's like, that's fucking great. And you never know. I mean, you got Coinbase advertising that. Like, it all helps. Although, you know, after last night, we'll see what happens with the lend and these rates. But, you know, it is different.
Yeah, if they'll stake it for you. But sometimes they take 25%. There's better ways to do it if you can't run your own node or however Algo works. I haven't staked there before, but look, coming up into here for sure in the spring chaos, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting paid here. Now we've had this long consolidation. We've had this breakout on volume. We had the market structure, the retest. I mean, this is a perfect setup and huge volume. Now, you know what we talk about when you have a breakout, when you have a trend. The highs, the ultimate all-time highs, they rarely come in on the highest volume. You know, zoom out to the weekly, you might see that on something like 2017 Bitcoin where like there was parabolic into the high. But you get into the daily, the 4-hour, oftentimes, if you really are trying to sell the top or wait for the trend reversal, the high that comes in with the highest volume is not the one. It's like that next little high that comes in, but then you look down here and the volume is much less. And there's your exhaustion. So personally, I think this probably has a lot more in the tank. Now, especially given the conditions that it's rallying in. I mean, it's an odd time to be standing out unless you really got something going. Somebody just mentioned in the chat that the IMF put out a report on Algo. I don't know how, like why they would do that or what the context was, but that's something to look into. IMF Algo report on Google, you could check.
I'm guessing it wasn't bearish.
It was not probably a bearish report. Yeah, threatening to, but to Dan's point, and I think this is probably one of the biggest mysteries to me when I first got into trading, something we should touch on. If you guys are new to this stuff, you probably at some point just got pissed. You said, I just want to know, how do you do it? How do you trade? Give me your plan. Everyone says, oh, trade with a plan. Trade. And you always want to ask somebody, just let me copy your plan for now. You can't. And that used to bug me. I thought people were blowing me off. They're like, I'm just not going to share my alpha with you. You literally can't, because in somebody's plan, in their situation, like Dan said, maybe you need that rent, the tax money, you should be selling here. But that's you. And you're the only one who knows that context. Whereas somebody like Dan, they might have cash flow in other avenues. They might have a 5 or 7 year outlook on these things. He's stuck, holding on to his serum, some of those other bags, right? Long term. He doesn't give a shit what happens this year. It's exciting. Might add on a dip. But that's his plan. So 10 people could be holding algo bags, and each one of them should be doing something different right now. I just thought I'd point that out, because if you're looking for your plan,
I want to address somebody in the chat, because I've seen a lot of this on Twitter as well, and in our chat here the last couple weeks. They're talking about AVAX, right? Avalanche, which saw a meteoric rise here, and all this hype with their liquidity. Mining and Messi got all over it, and everybody was. But it's this thing about they feel like they got in a little late, and I'm seeing a lot of I got fucked on it, or I shouldn't have bought too much, or is it done? What's the deal? The timing on how these things act in the market, there really is no rhyme or reason. Is AVAX done? We don't know.
Nope.
You will never know. I mean,
hope not.
The timing on this stuff, though, it's never going to work to where you think it will or you hope it will, for the most part. Like, I remember holding AVAX because it was one that someone I respected his calls told me was his pick to click for the year at the end of December. And there was a seller in there, and it was offered at $3 and traded down to $2.80. And there was a seller in there when everything else started to pick up. And Polkadot and Atom and everything started to run, and AVAX was literally 280 sellers. And every downtick in Bitcoin, the shit would get fucking smoked on Binance. And I'm sitting there like, what the hell? You're driven to the point of, I got to sell my AVAX now to catch the Polkadot pump or the Atom pump. And literally that could have been the worst rotation to do. You can't get too impatient with the timing of these things. It's never going to happen like exactly how you plan. If you're feeling that kind of heavy there, then you probably are too heavy there. Then you need to be like more diversified. But like, say, is it done, or is it? You cannot time these things.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think one trend has made itself exceedingly clear in the past weeks, and that is that Ethereum is not a place for users to have a good time right now. It doesn't matter if you're making money, you're still not having a good time doing it, especially if you use some of the alternatives. So as far as I'm concerned, at least, with Avalanche, is we're writing a narrative that's been proven. We see these other level ones just going, absolutely atmospheric, just being repriced as new money flows into the system. New users begin using the system, and people realizing that, hey, this is my shot at being early to something. And oh my God, I bridged over. I used Solana, I used Phantom, I used Avalanche, and the user experience was incredible. It was fast, it was cheap, it was fun again. Because you didn't sit there, I'd failed a transaction and
$300.
That's $300 down the line.
Dude, it's so
it's
crazy.
not like that. So for me, the way I see it, and why I continue to maintain exposure to the Avalanche ecosystem, is that we know Aave and Curve are coming. We know that this layer one narrative has been proven and that it's strong. It's not even that we need to confirm that thesis. It's just that we have to wait for some degree of rotation. Now, I do expect that to come when we have more to do over here. And I think that's where a lot of the initial momentum was stalled on Avalanche, was that people came in and there was a little bit to do, and we had a lot of fun while we were doing that little bit to do. But people quickly realized that, hey, we're missing some of the key primitives over here. You know, it's very difficult for builders to come in right now and say, let me build out some amazing applications. You know, even though the user experience would be fantastic, we don't have Curve, we don't have Aave, we don't have Balancer. You know, there's just a lot more work that needs to be done. Now, the work is being done. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be patient and I am going to be rewarded. I'm literally 100% conviction on that. I think where a lot of people are going to get blown the fuck out right now is they're going to say, oh man, you know, like, fuck, you know, Phantom's running, which, you know, has a lot more builder activity. You know, Andre's over there just cranking out shit like mad. Phantom's had more time to bring some of that critical infrastructure in, like Curve, which is a key pillar for many DeFi applications. You know, they're going to say, fuck, you know, I'm really missing out on all this other shit. You know, look at Solana run, look at Phantom run, and that's not to say that there isn't opportunity left in Solana and Phantom. Just look at Sunny. I think that's a testament to the fact that if you think you're late to the Sol game, you're not. There's new shit being built 100%. Over there every
There's
day.
really not a whole lot on Solana. Yeah,
but there's not. But the main thing
but
here
how about
is
like 4 or 5 months ago there wasn't anything.
Waiting it out.
Yeah.
If I had to draw a comparison between the Avalanche ecosystem, I would say, hey, you know, it's about the state of building that maybe Solana was in 1 or 2 months ago. It's about the state of building that Phantom was in 1 or 2 months ago. And I do think that that's why Solana and Phantom are running before Avalanche, is because the ecosystem is more robust. There's more shit to do. And that's just that. So for me, I'm not trying to play these rotations. I'm not trying to test my luck and buy, you know, anything that's, you know, super up. You know, there's a difference between being early and too early, you know, and an argument can be made that, you know, is AVAX too early?
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, hey, if we lose this, I have no interest in this chart short term. I mean, we need to hold this. We need to have a bullish daily close. We need to bounce back up. You know, and I don't think we are. I longed, you know, my one setup overnight was to pick up off this low, the retested lows, and I framed that one pretty well. And a couple guys messaged me. They said, "Oh yeah, that looked good," and you know, we traded it, but we can't lose this level. Otherwise, this is, you know, right here all over again, where we had a really
Cosmo
nice
in
pump
chat
and
is saying,
we
you know, the AVAX bridge outflows astound me. Who is moving their money out with all this incoming upside? Well, there's an opportunity cost. And here's the thing. Some people can afford the opportunity cost and some people can't.
Yeah.
And you've got people right now that feel like they're missing out on other things, and they are. It's the truth. But the thing is, and I've said this in Shitcoin Church 100 times, you know, if you have high conviction and you know something is coming, if I just told you, hey, ignore the noise everywhere else, you're somewhere good, and if I told you all you have to do is sit on your fucking hands, and in the next 2 months, you're going to have more money than you're going to have now. You know, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't fucking rug us, or, you know, there's external factors that play into this.
Caveat emptors everywhere, yeah.
Could you do it? And the thing is most people can't. Most people have an extremely difficult time just having conviction in something and sitting on their hands. And the people that are able to have that conviction, especially if you're coming in with real conviction, not just, hey, I have a bag because it's going to go up. If you've done your homework and you've got a solid thesis on something and you know you're right about something and you have the patience to just sit on your fucking hands, that's how you win. There's too much going on to be everywhere right now. Even someone like me who, this is my passion. I love this. I'm always 7 days a week. I'm at my computer for at least probably 8 to 10 hours a day, doing research, learning all I can. And guys, I'm missing 90% of what's going on. I just don't have the capacity to be aware of all of this. So find something, study it, be early, be an expert, have your convictions, and wait, be patient.
Yeah, conviction is a critical piece of that, and that's why we'll go back to like this idea of copy trading. Just don't do it. You know, Twitter can be very harmful for participants in the market because there's somebody who has their conviction or perhaps just has a bag and doesn't know what they're doing. And they'll say something like, imagine this not going parabolic next week, or imagine thinking this won't moon. And so you go and you buy it, and it's a pump day. You know, it's up 10, 20% already that day. That's why they tweet it, because they're feeling very confident. and then it dips, and it does even what Solana did here for 60 days, or right here for 7 days, and you get out. You sell it because it wasn't your conviction, and number go down. And I'm right there with you, Messiah. I think with AVAX, I've got, it's my largest bag right now, and I'm weirdly comfortable with the current price action. It sucks, I'd love it if it mooned yesterday. Like, it's always nice to see number go up, but I've used it, and in hanging out with you a little bit and having our chats, I've heard about things like Curve and Aave, and it's not just, there's a lot of broader implications when you have platforms like that operating that I didn't even pick up because I'm not really a DeFi guy, like at heart. I haven't dove into that yet. But the borrowing and the lending enable such, large use cases and other platforms to be built. So you really need, it's like they're the plumbing essentially. And they're not there yet. And technically speaking, this is actually where I would rather get excited about a project. Somebody says, well, why aren't you buying FTM? I mean, we've already looked at their chart, but I'm not, maybe I'm early.
Look, guys, Phantom can go 5x from here.
Totally, yeah.
Why am I not buying Phantom, though? It's because I don't need to be in on everything to win here. Yeah. I want to be on something where I feel like get the best cost to benefit ratio possible. And I feel like knowing what's coming, that AVAX is very cheap right now. So there's a lot of opportunity in that sense, and that's not to say that there's not still a lot of opportunity with Phantom and a lot of opportunity with Solana. It's just, realistically, when I look at Phantom and Solana and I say, hey, is this something that there's a high probability of it going 5x from here? I want those big juicy multiples, maybe. I don't fucking know. But, just in relative terms, when I'm looking at, what market cap am I getting in at, which face melting upside scenario, makes the most sense. I feel like there's opportunity here. So I'm just going to park my ass and I'm going to sit and I'm going to wait it out. We have this incredible opportunity on these layer ones with stable coins as well, because, timing the top of this bubble is going to be impossible. I don't know where the top is. Is the top now? Is the top sometime in 2022? It just doesn't make any sense. But if you make enough money from these opportunities and you get to a point to where, hey, why do I want to speculate on direction at all? I've got a huge stack of stables, and in this bubble environment, the yield is fantastic. Why not just remove myself from that situation where I need directional exposure? Spread out, my eggs to multiple baskets. Maybe I'm farming a little on Phantom, maybe I'm farming a little on ETH, maybe I'm farming a little on Solana. That way, if I get hacked or rugged in one protocol, then I'm not out of the game. And just sit back and, finally take that big breath of relief that I don't have that directional risk anymore. Bitcoin can just rug and go to zero tomorrow. I've made it. I'm farming. I'm happy. I'm taken care of.
Yeah, you're getting me excited. That's kind of my goal. That's my crypto goal, is to get to a point where I'm not sitting on anything that's like 60%
that's
directional
the thing,
risk.
Man. Bitcoin can go to 180K, and maybe I do miss out on that big pump. But the thing is, if the ecosystem, if the markets are going crazy, my yield is gonna be nuts. So I'd love to bang out some multiples here. It doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, 4, 5x, and just take that directional component out of the equation and get my life back. Get some time to do some things I want to do in the site. Write a little code, do more streams and stuff. I love talking to you guys and voicing my thoughts on things and sharing research and. It's this isn't going to last forever. I don't know where it ends.
Solana just made an all-time high, like at the start of the stream.
Shit is fucking.
That's
right
intense, bro.
Yeah.
There's a bid there. Like, honestly, you look at what happened yesterday, and then you saw the tweet thread by the Wintermute, like OTC
100 million
making desk. They took down like an OTC trade of $100 million notional. I'm assuming seller of Solana wrote it down to 130 and kind of back up, but this thing got extreme buyback yesterday. It just there's some entities in there that are buying this thing, and there's
they may not look at it the same way as us, right? And I think some of the money coming in, and this is something I need to wrap my head around so that I stop perhaps taking profit on something. Like if you sit here and say, what's the thing you're most bullish on in the next 5 years? I was thinking about this last night, actually. Imagine you're just like, I don't know, imagine some warrant comes out for your arrest, some bullshit. I don't know. I don't break the law, so I can't even imagine what that would be. But just imagine they're saying you're going to go away for 5 years, 7 years. But, come and turn yourself in tomorrow. What do you do with your crypto portfolio? Like where do you stash it? What do you think you have such high conviction on the long term? Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana would probably be my answer to that if I didn't have to sweat the dips. I just said, I'll check in 7 years, 5 years. I need to wrap my head around who's buying at these prices, how they're seeing it and evaluating it. And that goes back to what Dan said earlier around the 5-year vision, competing with the New York Stock Exchange level of infrastructure.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. If you look at it in that perspective, I'm a TA guy. I see chaos levels. I see 5x. I see 60x on the year. I get a little uncomfortable. But then you zoom out and you say, well, who am I trading against? Who's going to buy my bags? I think there is probably no shortage of capital coming into crypto in the next month, year, 2 years that will look at that and say, yeah, I'd like to get a piece of that, because they maybe come from places like where Amazon trades. And we can look at the Amazon chart. And I think that's probably my thesis for crypto in the broader spectrum of things.
Yep.
And that's just up and to the right. It never stopped.
This to me comes back to something where I think all of us here are big Ethereum fans. I think all of us know what Ethereum has kind of done for crypto in general, and the strength and its network effect and everything. Now, granted, it was a little, I don't know, I felt a little vulnerable being an Ethereum holder, looking at Vitalik yesterday tweet about why all NFTs need to move to layer 2, and he's feeling the pinch of this transaction fee issue right now. I mean,
it's horrific.
It is horrific. The best thing they have going for them is the fact that they're burning Ethereum and this deflationary thing, but like you're feeling that pinch. But the bottom line is it's a $400 billion network right now. So what these other layer ones that actually are building like real network value themselves have going for them is they've got 10x and 20x and 50x multiple to climb to get to be Ethereum's level. There's room there. I think that's probably one of the most strong headwinds for ETH right now. It's going to get money flow. ETH, I think the whole idea of network value as the internet of the future and how that relates, I don't think it's wrong, but there are other networks that have, I think, tailwind behind them when ETH potentially has more of a headwind, because it still is 10 times the market cap of Solana and Polkadot and 20 times of Avalanche. Those are big multiples. So
it's like it's a reset. It's not a get out of Ethereum as much as it is a like new money coming in, not allocating to Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're allocating less to Bitcoin, less to Ethereum, and then allocating to things like Solana and other things like that.
I will tell you, I know that, the people you're talking to, and I hear kind of similar talk about how Bitcoin is kind of boring at this point. It's kind of done. I don't think that's the case yet. I think Bitcoin is going to do like some crazy things. I think it really represents the most decentralized compute power on Earth. And I think that its acceptance on the institutional side is like the store of value by like, even the boomer institutionals who really believe in it, the Paul Tudor Joneses and them. I think Bitcoin's going to do some crazy stuff, because 21 million's 21 million, and then we find out it's only 18 million because 3 million's lost, and yada yada. But I think that you're going to see people, just like happens in the stock market, like people are going to be, it's like the siren call. you're lured into finding that low cap that can become the big cap, right? The thing that's going to 100x, because I know a little bit more about this thing, and I see who's involved, and I believe that, you know, it's going to pull one of those like just magic tricks where it explodes before our eyes, and that will attract money flow. But I think that you know, Ethereum's going to attract money, but it's got some competition, and you know, we're seeing user experience. The fact that Messi, you are a big ETH, like you loved ETH, like all about ETH, and the fact that like you're actually turned on by the user experience of these others, it's meaningful.
Well, I think I actually discovered that I didn't necessarily love Ethereum. I think I discovered more that I loved EVM. You know, that's the experience that I grew up on. You know, in this kind of DeFi ecosystem, that's the experience that made me. You know, so I've got you know, I've got fond memories of EVM. You know, I'm very familiar with it. I know all the tips and tricks. I know how to get something to work when it's not working. And the thing is EVM doesn't have to happen on Ethereum.
Explain that for the layman. We've got some people out here who might not know what EVM is. Just give a little.
The EVM is the Ethereum virtual machine. That is the programming environment of Ethereum. That's where smart contracts are located. That's where smart contracts are executed. You know, when you're on Ethereum, that layer 1 is executing the EVM. So to speak. So when you have EVM in other locations, you know, Binance Smart Chain was the first place to really show the power of EVM, to show that you know, the EVM experience on Ethereum sucks. You know, it's this EVM experience exists on Ethereum layer 2s, on Arbitrum, on Optimism. And those are accepted by Ethereum maximalists, you know, because it settles on Ethereum, on the Ethereum layer 1. But the thing is, you know, I think Ethereum didn't innovate fast enough, and I think that we've reached an inflection point to where they have allowed Ethereum DeFi to exist and grow now in other places, and we're seeing, you know, of course, Binance Smart Chain, the biggest complaint was, hey, it's centralized. There's 21 nodes. Maybe CZ doesn't like you and he freezes your funds. You know, when you have EVM in a centralized environment, then it's just a shitcoin casino, which there's nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm not trying to talk shit. It's just something that's true. You know, people want somewhere where they can go do degen shit. And Binance Smart Chain provided that experience, but now we're seeing the evolution of that into where, you know, and that EVM DeFi will always have a large market share. And that's not to say that market share, you know, won't be shared with other DeFi applications and DeFi environments. It's just the truth. It's the OG. It's the original. And we're seeing situations now where you have these other EVM experiences that are scalable now, that are decentralized. When we look at Moonbeam, you know, on Kusama that RT talked about in the newsletter last week, and when we look at Avalanche, when we look at Phantom, you know, all of these things are, you know, more secure, more decentralized, and more scalable than even kind of the Gen 1 plus EVM experience, which was Matic. Now we have these Gen 2, Gen 3 EVM experiences, and they're fantastic, and they're scalable, and they're decentralized, and they're secure. And I don't think that Ethereum layer 2 will ever compete with these experiences. And the simple answer to that is that, you know, layer 2 hurts composability. Composability is the heart of DeFi. It's what makes DeFi what it is. The ability to have all of these protocols interwoven with each other, interacting with each other, the ability to aggregate liquidity. You
borrow here, stake there.
Yeah, you can't have, oh, here's Arbitrum and here's this liquidity here. Oh, and here's Optimism and there's this liquidity there. It just doesn't work. So I do think that as time progresses, Ethereum continues to bleed market share to other layer ones that do offer this composable environment for EVM to take place. And even then, I think that Solana is not the only place where non-EVM DeFi is going to grow and flourish. You also have Terra, which is getting a good bit of traction. I mean, Ethereum isn't fucked. It has its place, and I think that Ethereum has a very bright future. But I think the reality of the situation is the inflection point's been passed. EVM is going to thrive in other places, and I think the degree to which it thrives in other places is something that hasn't been tested yet, and I think that it's something a lot of people are underestimating. People think that these are just temporary solutions while Ethereum scales its layer 2 game. I don't think that's the truth. Maybe EVM DeFi is done best on a layer 1 that's been designed from the ground up with all of the lessons learned over the last 3 or 4 years. That's something that time will tell.
Yep.
Yeah. That's basically where I'm at with this stuff, and I think some people in the chat, people in crypto,
dropped the mic and walked off the fucking.
Seriously, no, that was gospel, right? That's where we're at. I get a lot of my DeFi knowledge from you, and your takes on it resonate obviously then with the ones that I've kind of.
I'm glad you're getting to have more of like this DeFi experience. It's fun, isn't it?
It is. It's incredibly fun, and even just hearing people chat about I basically, they exist now. They've made it. They've got maybe 1 or 2 mil, and they just live in stable coins, and they just go and look for yields, and they don't risk 60% drawdowns on asset X, and it is an enviable position, and it's something that I've considered more and more to maybe start moving 30, 40, 50% of my stuff into just that game and learning it, because when you're getting a 30 to 40 to 50% yield on stables, single staking, whatever, it's a very attractive lifestyle for me, as I've just had a kid and I want to slow down this intense swings at some point.
I think something I want to stress, and before everybody goes, oh well, I've got $1 million, I'm gonna go to stable coins right now, and I'm gonna go tell my boss that he can fuck himself and shit on his desk.
Don't burn the bridge.
I'm gonna leave my job. You have to realize that we are in a bubble environment. So before you have some kind of genius level plan like that, realize that yields aren't going to be 30 or 40% forever. The real question you should be asking yourself, can I live off 5% yield? Can I live off 3% yield? Because even compared to the traditional finance world, those yields are fantastic. You're not going to get those, in the TradFi world, and maybe you can, and I'm just not looking at it. I haven't heard of anything like that. So,
no, you can.
It's just think about it in the sense that the yields aren't going to be like this forever. So before you decide to do anything ridiculous and you think you've made it, retire
based on that math,
stable coins, do the math with dramatically reduced yield, because there will be a bear market at some point, and you don't want to be that guy that said, well fuck, I had $1 million, now it's 500 after tax because I got to pay short-term gains for actually getting to that $1 million. Can I live off 5% of this per year? Is that something that's feasible?
And then you always have to factor in rug risks and
guess what? Like if we are in a bear market, like those yields are going to compress like motherfuckers do.
Yeah. So that's the case. I was making this case earlier this year for fixed yield products, right? And right now you look at a fixed yield, you say, 5-7%. What's that fancy about that? But if you can smash that with $1 trillion, because it's made up of a basket of POS staking rewards on 10 different blockchains that are not going to really go anywhere, and you can mash those together and get 5% at pretty much infinite bid, that is going to be impressive during a bear market where these 30 to 300% yields on vegetable tokens just dive, right? Because right now there are more borrowers, right? In a bull market, you're going to get a lot more people borrowing, and the demand will be high, and so the lenders are going to get a higher rate because you're willing to pay more to borrow. And we're going to cycle through that until everyone suddenly wants that safe yield, and they say, I'm just going to take my stables. And we saw it on FTX. If you go on FTX and you look at the lend and the borrow, I talked about it on here before, you can borrow, or I was lending out my USD base for 12-15% hourly. Not that they pay that hourly, but I mean, any hour I could withdraw it. And During May, June, and July, that dropped to like 1% because everyone just stabled up and went and lent it out. And there was nobody borrowing because what are you going to borrow? It was bearish. So keep that in mind. Luna, somebody asked about it. We talked about it last week. I was ringing the alarm bells up here because there was no volume to back it up. Chaos, PRZs, fib extensions. And look at that! Right into the pump chaser zone and now bouncing. So this thing probably takes some time to unwind. If you want to dig into it a little more, you can just say, we had a bearish market structure fail, back up in a retest. So this is the bearish, that's one bearish kind of next few weeks that I could see. This is actually months the way I've drawn it, but that's possible. And that could be just for the whole market to just slide into some little retest levels. Personally, I'm positioned long here. This chart doesn't look as good to me, but I think Ethereum is probably the chart that fits sort of what I see in the market right now, which is we've consolidated, we broke out, we've now come in to retest it, consolidate here for a little bit, continue. That's what I think is the most likely outcome until it's not, right? Until we lose those lows, in which case I'm wrong. We'll go down, maybe see some levels down here at that 23, but just seems less likely.
How about the ETH BTC cross? I know we looked at it last week. I know it's been showing some strength. It looks better than Bitcoin.
Oh, it looks really good. I'm going to pull that up here in a sec. I just want to show real quick the total altcoin market cap. Put this in the newsletter today, which apparently is out. And if you guys just joined us, I see 225 live viewers. So welcome to the show. In the last little bit, we've ticked up a little. If you haven't yet and you want to like the video to show your support, you can click the like button. That would be great for us. As well as hitting the sub so you can know when we're going to go live. I think Messi will be on Shitcoin Church possibly tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to be doing that tomorrow. RT, are you streaming tomorrow? So I don't.
Friday. No, I'm good for Friday. So I'll be on Friday at 3 Eastern.
Look for me tomorrow around 2 p.m. CST, and for those of you that are not Central Time Zone or familiar with those, it'll start about an hour earlier than this stream did. Why didn't you do it Tuesday? Well, you know what?
Nobody got time for that.
I don't like doing it on rec days. It's just bad energy, and I can't come and bring my A game.
It's tough. It is. I'll admit that it is tough to get on here. Sometimes it's not even a rec day, and I just had a shitty trade, and I'm like, yeah, you get in there. So catch that tomorrow, guys, on Thursday, and I'll be on Friday. So if you haven't already, hit the sub. Appreciate that.
Here's my other side of the thinking. Sometimes I think as much as you want to push the stream to the next day, and I know you want to push the weekly to the next day, those down days, people are looking for some, some thoughts, right? Like, tell me I'm not.
Man, on those down days, I'm looking for some thoughts. So
yeah, soul searching.
I think we gotta.
I'm with you. No, I'm with you. I've been wrecked. I've gone on stream when I've been wrecked before. Like, not wrecked, but, feeling shitty. And I'll just go on stream and I'll just talk about it. I'll be like, look, guys, like, dude, this sucks.
I think, like, you guys have positioned yourself very well in the sense that, like, you got to be the hugger here. You got to be the leader, and you got to be the guys that, like, on the down days, as painful as it is, you're going to lament with everybody, but you're also going to be there to give them a hug and lift them up and give them some nuggets.
I think it's really difficult to provide actionable intel on a down day because you don't know the conclusion of what's happening. You don't have that information and that, hey, I've watched this, I've witnessed it, and here's how
you're kind of in the dark.
It's more kind of like, oh my God, I'm getting fucked with you guys. Isn't that awesome?
Just for context, if you guys are watching, I asked Rob and Dan yesterday if I could just do the newsletter today because, and then there's always this tug of war between like just be consistent. Tuesdays is the day, and then I'm like, well, we'll have better metrics tomorrow. We'll have a little more context, and but just for context, so you guys know that. Now look. Funny you brought that up, Rob, because I did think about going live yesterday just to do that. Just to be like, look, guys, relax. It's another day. And I know myself, when I was having down days in 2017, I would wish Carter Thomas, he was the guy I used to love watching on YouTube. He was just kind of sound and focused and, positive. And I'd be like, what's Carter Thomas doing today? He's probably so chill. Like, I need to hear from him. So I will make an effort. Because you're right. I'll make an effort to get on live next time we just have a nuke day. Problem is, it's volatile. I want to trade it, and I can't trade when I'm live. That's another thing.
Right. But that's also maybe one of the things here is like when you have a clear mind and you're kind of breaking the stuff down and you got people there like looking at it. It's like those days on the trading desk when the shit's hitting the fan where like there's opportunity also. And in the moment you see like, oh shit, no, there's a big buyer. Like you get to experience that with everybody. Like, oh shit, here we come. We're bouncing. It's like the opportunities on those down days, obviously it stings because we all have, for the most part, most of us have this just long exposure.
Yeah.
So the down days hurt no matter what because our net worth is going down, and oftentimes on those days it's going down more than 20% in a day, and that doesn't feel good. But there's also those times where, and we all need to be more positioned to where we have dry powder on those days. And when you have dry powder on those days, it can't be much better. That's what I tell all my friends who are just getting into crypto. I tell them, all I can say is deploy capital on the days that feel the worst, on the nasty days, because they always happen. And, you know, when you end up reaching out to me, asking me, what should I buy in crypto? It's always after we've seen like 4 green days in a row, 8 green days in a row. We're all feeling great. We can only go up. But like, don't buy today. Save it for the red day. And I got a text message from a buddy yesterday. When we were down bloody, he's like, deploy today. And he gave me the thumbs up. I'm like, there you go. Like, yes. You know?
Don't call me on the 5th day of a 6-day move and be like, should I buy Ripple today? Like,
I tried to.
You should. I need some exit liquidity. Thanks, buddy.
I put out.
I owned it. Right.
I put out as much of that as I could muster yesterday because at the time I wasn't sure. I was like, "Fuck! Did we just break structure? Are we gonna bounce? Let's get that 4-hour close." So I have a bit, you know. And then I just tweeted out. I said, "Uncomfortable entries are greater than comfortable ones." So to all those people who have been, you know, aping in and adding up and getting the dopamine rush. Like, where are you today? Start thinking seriously about what you're bullish on, because if we're in a bull, which we are, that's when you want to deploy. Even if, and sadly, most people are offside. They don't have a whole lot left to deploy, and you can see it right on the Bitcoin chart. You know, you can look at it. It's like, I can actually show you where everyone spent the last of their dry powder. Right? It was because we had this nice consolidation, and then it just started breaking out. But look, there was hints, guys. There was. For example, funding rates were high, always a red flag, but also look at this. There was no buy volume follow through on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Now, in the newsletter last week, as a guiding light, I did raise a few red flags. I was 50% cash. I said things are getting a little heated, but I'm not perfect. And I'm going to sit here right now and tell you that by Sunday night, a lot of that cash had been redeployed. And it was going up, and I was feeling good about it. And I was like, good, I'm back in. And it was Monday night that I looked at everything and I said, this is uncomfortable. I am anxious. I don't have enough dry powder, and I didn't do anything. And then the nuke came Tuesday morning, and so I didn't have a lot to buy with yesterday. I did reestablish, like Messi said, I rotated a few things. I took some lower conviction plays that were down 30%, and I rotated them into higher conviction plays that were down 30%. You know, I reestablished my ETH position because whether I'd like using it or not, you know, they just burned $800 billion worth of it, and it is still the highest usage network. And
800 million, right?
800 million, excuse me. They're coming up on $1 billion. Thank you.
I was about to say.
Yeah, they made noise as quadrillion, I heard. So, you know, I think ETH will be okay, and it's definitely a little less volatile than some of the places I like to play. So I did some moves, but I just hope somebody who read that newsletter last week was like, hey, I'm going to reassess my shit, and maybe he's right. And because, guys, every single pump chaser zone in the market just hit yesterday and is now left behind.
Yeah.
Can you know, and if you didn't, again, it takes years to learn this shit. And even for myself, I've been trading with that thing for a year now, since last summer, when I kind of theorized that tool. And as you can see, I still don't have maybe the forethought to always be ready with it. But in 3 years, trust me, I will. Maybe 3 months, we'll see.
You know what stands out to me on a day like today is I'm looking at my alt USD chart on TradingView, on my watch list. I'm sorry, and it's a good combo of red and green. I mean, I'm seeing alts that are down 5%. I'm seeing alts that are up 5% today. It's a mix, right? We're getting enough action, enough like single name volatility to where there is opportunity here. You're actually like, you're witnessing the money flow here. You're witnessing which alts are getting like the strongest buyback after a bloody day. And, you know, quite frankly, a lot of it has to do with like a continuation of that strength and buyback. You're seeing FTT up 4.5%. You're seeing Solana making a new high. That's
new highs. Holy shit.
Yeah. So like you're seeing a lot of what we're seeing right now, and a lot of it is relative too, because stuff has happened in the few days leading up to yesterday. But you're seeing like Phantom up 9% right now from yesterday's daily close. There's definitely a wide range of action here. And it's not all just like pure crypto beta. You know, the Ripple's down 3% on the day. There's stuff that's literally down 5%, up 5%. And you're you know, there's opportunity here. It doesn't mean the stuff that's down 5% is not going to outperform the stuff that's up tomorrow. The bottom line is there's good price action here. So, you know, find your spots and trade them.
If this is 2017 and I am who I was then, today is the kind of day where I'd probably be up from the last month or two, but I would nuke a lot of my portfolio to cash. I would lick my wounds. I would buy back higher later on. And just before anyone gets into like, don't be a fucking idiot, buy. Look, there's no shame in being offside on a play, realizing you were way out of bounds on your risk, shoring up your account to cash and waiting for confirmation. I'm sorry. All those guys are like, yeah, you're not going to make it. Let his hands, you're a bitch. I find that stuff can be off-putting personally because I know people are in different situations than myself and I don't want to see them get wrecked. I am long and strong on support here. You may want to wait for confirmation because maybe your profile is a little different. Maybe you were way offside. Maybe you're not even up. Maybe you know, Daniel said everyone's making a lot of money, and I couldn't help but think, I don't know that everyone was. You know, I think a lot of people were buying highs the last month and getting squeezed and selling, and it's hard, man. It's hard. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Do me a favor. You just had the FTT daily up. Yeah. Go to the FTT hourly or even the 15-minute chart.
Versus
You're
Bitcoin?
going to see FTT. No, the USD. Look at the vol there. And even in USDT.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. I mean, you are getting moves here. People are getting shaken out. Even the strongest of hands, like it's volatile. I mean, I
am very bullish on FTT. They just signed Steph Curry. They're not going to stop, right? They've Brady this year, MLB. Like, there's a trend in just what their behavior.
By the way, that commercial was fucking fire, dude.
I didn't see it with the Curry one.
No, yeah, with Tom Brady, Giselle.
Okay.
I didn't see it yet.
Maybe it's fucking amazing.
If you can find that, post a link in the chat because I'd like to see it too.
I'll post it right now. Hang on.
Nice. And we'll pull that up after. Probably can't watch it while streaming here. It gets tricky with audio, but yeah, no. FTT is one that I just kind of blindly bought yesterday. I was like, I don't know if I missed the bottom or if it's just I need more, and this is a gross day. And so you want to have your strongest conviction plays on hand for days like that when you're just kind of like, what do I panic buy? If that's your strategy, I would be cautious listening to the perma bears who are taking victory laps on a day like yesterday and then telling you, see, that's where the bear market starts. Look, if we lose yesterday's lows, I'll join the ranks. You know, I'll cut some midterm because I want to buy it cheaper. But this all just looks really bullish. It doesn't feel like it, but.
Did anybody hear that Storm just did a deal with the Portland Trailblazers?
Which Storm? STRMX?
Yeah, Simon Yu's company.
Stop.
They're going to be... Am I dropping alpha here?
I don't know, but does it even
Am I not supposed
trade
to talk
still?
about this?
Does it even trade still? Do we still have someone hit BTC?
STRMX.
Did we, Robbie? We had a position. Hold on. I love that little guy.
No, that thing traded like a mofo. I mean,
Ooh.
Got knocked down to support. So, I mean, that's the thing. So, like, what, last week I'm bullish on this week I'm selling it all back at support. Like, you can be offside one or two times and you know, slap yourself on the wrist later if you're, you know. The wrong thing to do on, and I'm going to pick on STRMX, the wrong thing to do, in my opinion, was to start really loading on the sauce last week. That was late. It was late in the move, whether it's late in the market cycle, whatever. So following that up by then selling at the support, that's a second mistake. That's following a mistake with a mistake. So do I wish I took some off last weekend and had more powder to buy the dip? Yep. But I am not going to correct that mistake by making the next one, which is then selling the support. If we break structure and dump some more, I will sell. That's the right thing to do in my plan. I can't sell these supports, and I'm gonna just pick on STRMX here.
you want to be buying support.
You want to pull up?
But yeah, in an uptrend, higher lows, which is what we just put in. Unless you look at Bitcoin, I gotta say Bitcoin looks grosser than most of these, which I think is actually really, really bullish. If you look at dominance and you think about alt season and the alt BTC pairs, I think this is what you want to see, right? You want to see Bitcoin stay put. This one looks a little grosser, but for the most part, the stuff we've been talking about, the stuff I've been trading, it's all bullish retest stuff. It's where you want to be thinking long in an uptrend.
Before Gunny gets into what he wanted to say, and I think he was about to ask for Serum, we're an hour and 45 in.
Yeah, we gotta
get to our thoughts to close it out. But
yeah,
here's the thing with Serum, and Gunny, if you were about to talk about it, jump in.
Go. You may say the same thing, but let's go.
So dude,
this is important.
Yeah, dude, in the chat. The only thing holding Serum back, and this is like the billion-dollar question about Serum, because I think, and we can pull up like a Serum Solana pair, I think Serum can absolutely go berserk. The only thing is the question about its fully diluted market cap.
It's very high.
But that's over the next 6 years, and they are burning tokens, and we believe that Serum is building the plumbing, you know, the only legitimate on-chain central limit order book, and the potential for that is so astounding. But there's always the question of the circulating supply and the circulating market cap of Serum, which is relatively low. I think it's egregiously low against the fully diluted.
Yeah, it's less than $500 million.
I mean,
That's
so
fully diluted valuation is a meme. The only thing that matters is how much is in circulation, how much liquidity is there, and then what are the emissions like. You know, beyond that, it doesn't mean shit, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it that way, then Serum is a screaming buy, and if Solana continues to do what it's doing, Serum can go absolutely apeshit. The problem is
soundbite.
Fully diluted. Now, you've got the biggest and brightest and best names in high-frequency trading and liquidity providing in the crypto space and even into TradFi. They're betting on Serum. They're building on it. They've chosen that as the primitive, right, of future exchange right now. So
that's it right there.
It is the primitive. We're building on it. We are doing it for
well, we're not building on it. We're composing with it.
Correct. Composing with it.
Right.
But for a number of reasons. But the bottom line is that the fully diluted cap is the only real like headwind for that token. I mean that's it right now. And we're gonna see, I think, some real volatility there. And even in the Serum Solana pair, it's an interesting one to trade. It's going to be a really interesting pair trade. Like, you know, back when I was trading, you know, the ag futures and you'd think about, you know, corn, wheat, beans, and how you would ratio your long, short exposure. It's like I'm catching the urge to roll a lot of Solana length into Serum. And I actually like think about that when I look at FTT Solana Serum, because they're all kind of intertwined. It's like SAM beta, but you're like, okay, Solana's gone, it's outperformed so much. Should I roll some of that length into Serum now and try to catch that? It's a powerful relationship, and it's the $1 billion question to me. Like, what does it do?
I agree. But also, if you look at it like a number of years out, and you believe that there is going to be this decentralized infrastructure that's going to exist in financial markets as plumbing, as primitive layers. Like, Robin mentioned, like for Hxro Network, for example, we're composing with Serum, and our view of the world is that Hxro Network is providing the derivatives / options, liquidity, and risk engine. Serum has order books. The primitive layer is the plumbing. It's like I said it before, and I was, like I'll say this all the time. Is like, it's really the tectonic plates that countries sit on, right? And that's what Serum is. That's what Hxro Network is. That's what Pith is ultimately. It's these components that exist in centralized markets that now are replaced in these generalized network-driven kind of highways, and they all intertwine together. And then what gets built on top of that is ultimately everything that the rest of the world will see. You won't see Hxro Network as like this unbelievable UI UX. What ideally you'll see hundreds and thousands one day of various operators that are all plugging into that liquidity that the plates made up of Hxro Network, Serum, Pith will create. And then it'll make it quick and easy for an operator to plug in. You'll enter into that marketplace via that operator. That operator may be E-Trade one day. It may be FTX. It may be Hxro.trade if you're non-US. If there's all these different places that it'll enter, and all of that liquidity, all of that infrastructure will work together. It'll all sit on top of Solana, and kind of that's what the view of the world is.
Last thought from you guys, because I know you've talked so much, obviously bullish on Solana, very good understanding of Serum and the implications. I haven't heard you talk a whole lot about Ray. That's kind of been my baby on the stream, as far as like when the staking went live and I was on Twitter talking about here's how you do it. What are your guys' thoughts on Ray? I actually used it today for the first time in a while as a swap, Uniswap, whatever, and it's very smooth. It's improved a lot.
Those guys are awesome.
It's improved a lot since I got there. Is this something that you would categorize as like the 1, 2, 3 along with Serum and Solana? Or is that FIDA? Like, what's your number 3 play?
In the 5.
5, yeah. It's in my 5 for sure. With
definitely like a primitive for for borrow lend and for swap. But it's a very smart group behind it.
Okay.
I know those guys. They're real.
And it's got the same kind of thing with the FDV and the fully diluted. It's got a lot of staking rewards coming, and you got to figure. It's just a question. I think going back to Serum, my thinking was like 6-year vest. They're doing some burns along the way. Is demand going to outpace that new supply in the next 6 years, in the next 2 months? And then just keeping an eye on that. I don't really look at fully diluted. I mean, I glance at it. I don't stay away. Serum being the reason for that, actually, because of what we saw in the spring. Despite that fully diluted, we saw this. It was a great trade. God forbid I should have stayed away. So yeah, bullish on both. And with Solana making new all-time highs again today, tells me probably got a little more in the tank, and pump chaser zones just kind of tagged, closed back above these 12 EMAs. Feel good about this market. I think we'll take it back to the studio with that.
Yep. Yesterday was, it's a rough day. I hate to see the massive, headline numbers of liquidations. I think that we're watching liquidations in real time with the API connections. We wouldn't really see that in traditional finance, so it really hits a little harder and differently.
I'm watching the liquidations, man. Are you a necrophiliac or something? Like, damn.
That's no. That's more.
Is that sex with dead people?
That's Gunny's territory.
Don't even fucking go there.
I think you wore your spank chain shirt on one stream.
You did.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me a necrophiliac, for fuck's sake.
I start reading the chat for 1 minute. I come back in to listen to you guys, and we're done.
Come
here.
on.
Wrap it
Mark,
up.
you got to spend a few days with us. You know, it's like
No, it was a great time for me to zone back out and zone back in. I was like, the necrophiliac spank chain, god damn it. What is going on here?
Yeah, we got to wrap this up before it gets even weirder.
Yeah.
And with that, guys, hope you appreciate the stream this week and love what we're putting out here. You know, we come on here, we share everything we got. And
get in that Discord, right?
Yeah, get in the Discord, get in the trading pit. It has slowed down in a good way. You know, I think it's less noise and more substance again after that crazy week we had with the apes after AVAX. And if that was you, that's all good, man. Come on in, enjoy the party, guys. And whatever you do from now until tomorrow at Shitcoin Church O'Clock, like us, subscribe to us, and always play from a position of strength. Take care, guys.
See you guys.